Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's nearly the end of the year, so it's time for my last TBR or MBR of 2022. So I've probably taken a bit more time than usual setting out my MBR for December because there's a number of factors that kind of play into it. I've got my reading goals for 2022 and there's a few titles left on there which this is the last month, so I have to incorporate those or not meet those goals. And there's also a couple of arcs that I've got for early 2023 that I want to take into consideration. I've got two chonkers of 800 pages plus, both coming out in February. So I've got a digital copy of The Shadow Casket, which is the second book in the Darkwater Legacy that started off with the Ember Blade. That's by Chris Wooding. That one's due out, I think, on the 16th of February. I really enjoyed the Ember Blade, so I jumped at the chance to get a review copy and arc through NetGalley of the second book in the series. So that's one that I'll be taking into consideration and looking to get done in January, hopefully. And the other one is 11th Cycle by Kian N. Ardalan. I've got a physical copy of this and it is a really big, heavy beastie. That one I think is due out on the 1st of February, so that one I'll definitely be looking to do in January. But with those two, I've got another couple of arcs as well, and I am going to plan to read at least one of the shorter review copies I've got in December. So I might as well cover that one off whilst I'm talking about arcs anyway. So the one that I've planned in for December is Eclipse by Herman Stauenagel. I do apologise if that is pronounced wrong. This is book one in his new Fractured Orbit series. It comes out, I think it's the 7th of February. So I've got kind of one on the 1st, one on the 7th and one on the 16th. So at least they're not all gathered around the same day. This one's quite short, it's just less than 300 pages, so that's why I've chosen this one. It's not hopefully going to be too bad trying to fit it in, but this is, as you can tell by that gorgeous cover, I really do love the colours on this. It's a sci-fi, it's kind of a space opera, it's not a near future sci-fi, so this is more along the lines of the sci-fi that I like. In here we're dealing with two main characters, one who's on a space station, Eclipse, and another is a space pirate, and of course they end up crossing paths. It does sound quite interesting. I'm not going to go into it and read the synopsis because I don't want to get too deep into it and I want to kind of go into it blind when I come to reading it, but I'm looking forward to reading this one. As I say, I really like the cover and I hope I'll like what's inside as well. And then just to finish up on arcs, I do have another one. I'd already kind of locked in the titles that I'm going to talk about today, and then I got this one, and it's a review copy for, I think, January the 24th. So again, it's one that if I can fit it in this month, I might squeeze it in, but if not, I'll hopefully read it first thing in January and still be able to get all of these ones covered before their respective release dates. This one though is No Heart for a Thief by James Lloyd Dewlin, and I quite like the cover of this, and when I was offered a review copy of it, I did like the sound of it, so I snapped that one up as well. So that one will be coming, if not in December, in January. It seems a little bit out of place me talking about one that I might read, the typical MBR aspect of it early on, but just to get the arcs out of the way first, since I was talking about them, I'll include that one here. Now we'll get into the books that I've actually got locked in. So we start off with Eclipse by Herman Stauenagel, and then we go into my 2022 reading plans and tie up a couple of the loose ends that I've still got from that list. So first of all, on my self-pub list, I've read 9 out of the 10 titles that I said I wanted to read, so I've just got the one left, and this one is The Blood of the Spear by Mark Timoney. So I've heard so many good things about this one and I'm really looking forward to it. We're following two brothers in here and there's plenty of magic by the sounds of things. This is one of my favourite books to read in terms of what I know about it, because I read the synopsis, I got quite interested in it, I heard lots of people talking about it, and now that I'm actually coming to read it, I've forgotten most of those things. So that's really good because it means I get to experience them afresh when I come to read it. So obviously it's not a reread, I don't know what happens, but I like going into a book blind. I've already said that once in this MBR video, so that's definitely what's going to happen here. But definitely looking forward to it. It's been on the list for a long time. So Mark, thank you for this lovely copy and the bookmarks that come with it. I'm going to knock this one out in December. Then we have the single remaining title from my series I want to start video, so this is 2 lists that I'm going to completely tick off, and the last remaining book 1 in a series that I've got in there I'm going to do in December, and that is the Forgetting Moon by Brian Lee Durfee, book 1 in the 5 Warrior Angels. Again, this is one that I've read and can't remember too much about what was in the synopsis, but I've heard lots of people talk about it. And it's kind of mixed. I hear a lot of people saying it's absolutely amazing and it's got real Faithful and the Fallen vibes, which obviously sings to me as someone who ranks the Faithful and the Fallen as my favourite series. I've also heard a lot of people saying actually it's not that good, especially the first book, and there's loads of tropes in it and it's just a bit meh. And to me that's kind of weird because obviously fantasy, almost by definition I guess, is going to be full of tropes. But it's more about how you deal with those tropes. Are they well done? Do they have maybe a little twist? And you can also have too many tropes, yes, in a book as well. So for me, I'm definitely looking forward to getting into this one. I have a suspicion that if it's one of those titles that a number of people don't like, they think it's a bit tropey, I think I might like it because I do tend to gravitate towards a bit of the classic fantasy feel with a modern edge on it, and I'm hoping that's what I'm going to get here. Either way, I'll find out soon. This one again is another one that's been on my list for a long time, so I'm really happy to finally get to reading it. Then I've got a buddy read, and this one I'm going to do through audio. I'm going to read book 2 in the Song of Kamaria by T.A. Bruno, and this one is called On the Winds of Quasars. So Nina and I read the first title, In the Orbit of Sirens. I think it was in October that we read it actually, and we both quite enjoyed it. I think she enjoyed it more than I did. I wanted maybe a little bit more from it, but I'm hoping that with building on the world and what we got in book 1, I'm hoping that's what will happen in book 2, that I'll get that extra that I wanted. So I'm really looking forward to continuing with this one and seeing what it's like. It's had some really good reviews yet again, so it's another one that lots of people who I follow, lots of my friends in the community have read and really enjoyed, and I'm hoping that I'm going to enjoy them in really loving this series. Once I get this one out of the way, there is one more title left in that series as well, so it's going to be a nice easy one to tick off my ongoing series lists, if of course I enjoy it. And then you might have seen that I'm going to be reading all of the finalists from SPFBO 8. I've already read 3 of them before I committed to reading the lot as part of Cassidy's alternate SPFBO 8 final. So I put it to the vote among my patrons on Discord, which one of the SPFBO 8 finalists should I read first, and I'll do that in December. So because I knew I had a couple of big books coming, because both the Forgetting Moon and Blood of the Spear are quite chunky, I decided I would go with the 3 shortest titles and put those to a vote. So they were, if I remember correctly, Mysterious Ways by Abby Evans, a song, it wasn't a Song for the Void, it was Olivia Atwater's Small Miracles, and the third title was Scales and Sensibility by Stephanie Burgess. And maybe it's because they wanted to troll me, they wanted to give me the title that they thought I would least like because they want to revel in my misfortune. My patrons chose Scales and Sensibility. So again, this one I've read the synopsis for recently. I did a video which I'll link in the cards in the top corner where I talked about all of the titles. I read through each synopsis and I gave my thoughts and my kind of predicted rankings, and this one, Scales and Sensibility, wasn't one of the ones that I thought I would enjoy too much because it's just not really my thing. But as with all of those that fall into that category, I'm hoping that I'm still going to get enough out of it to have a bit of a good time reading it. So definitely very different to my normal reading, but you'll be able to find out soon what I thought of it. So there we go, I've got 5 titles locked in of varying length. I'm going to do at least one of them on audio. I might do the Forgetting Moon on audio as well. I think I've heard some people saying that's a pretty good audio. So I think I'll do 2 on audio and 3 physical reading. And then after that, I've got another couple of titles as usual, starting with that review copy of No Heart for a Thief that I might tag on to the end if there is time. There are still a few titles from my reading plans that I will not get round to, but if there's the time I might try and squeeze one in, but there will be some regardless that I won't get to for various reasons, but I'll cover all of that in a video where I go through the plan and see how I did, what I read and what I didn't read. For today though, that's everything. Let me know in the comments as usual what your plans are for December. What are you looking forward to reading the most? Is there anything that you wanted to read this year but you haven't got to so far and you might or might not get the opportunity to in December? As usual, check out the box below this video for all my social media and support the channel links, including my book club Discord. Come and join us there, and also, if you wish, my Patreon. I hope you all have a good reading month, and I hope to catch you in the next video sometime soon. Until then, as always, take care of yourselves, read some good books. Bye for now.